Hi. So, what I want to talk about today, I'd like to talk about. So this will be sort of a language update video. I don't know what I'm going to say. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to say, but I'm just going to start talking, as I have a vague idea. So I haven't been on YouTube for a while. I just kind of got busy. But yeah, I've still been going hard at the language learning. That's definitely hasn't stopped, and I'm still very much concentrating on my Indonesian, while still sort of doing a bit of stuff with other languages. And one of those languages is Korean, which is what I want to talk about today. I've done something a little bit unusual for me, which is joining a class, a Korean class. It's a night course. It's once a week and it goes for 12 weeks. Pardon me. Excuse me. It goes for 12 weeks. I don't normally do language courses. As I said, I like to learn languages of my own. And I did so. I chose to do this class knowing that it wouldn't be for me in terms of technique. It wouldn't suit me entirely. But I decided to give it a try and do it more for social reasons and try to learn language in a social environment. Now, I want to talk about why I don't like it, and then I want to talk a little bit about why it can be good for certain people. The thing, I guess I already knew some words and phrases, so that kind of helps me in a class. If I'm going to join a class, I like to be a step ahead. I did a German night course years ago, and I'd already done quite a bit of German before doing it. And also did that at uni. I studied German on my own first and then went and did it at university. So I think if you're in that situation, for me, that definitely helps a lot, because if I were to start a class knowing nothing about that language, I would really struggle, really struggle. And I'm struggling now with my Korean. I find that people normally in the classes learn faster than I do. I learn a lot slower. It's either too fast or too slow. We have to do things in a certain order, as you know, in a class. You can't go and do something else. So today, if we're doing, I don't know, if we're doing pronouns, but I want to talk about family, or I want to ask someone for directions, we're not doing that until week 8, let's say. That's kind of frustrating, because we have to do things in the set order that is given to us, and that doesn't necessarily work in the real world, because what you need to know for your situation is different to what someone else has to know. Okay? So it doesn't really work that way necessarily. And even if you do nail those things down, if the teacher, I'm not explaining myself properly here, but let's say the teacher says, this is what we're doing today, and she says, alright, that's it, here it is. She shows it to you once, maybe twice, that's it, and she tries to get you to do something with it straight away. That doesn't work for me. I find that I'm too slow at learning. I need time for it to sink in. I need to work out what it is first, and then I'm much more comfortable with it. Whereas I've found that for other people in the class, the majority, it works really well. Here you go, here's the alphabet. Alright, now say it, use it. And that seems to work for people much better than it does for me. However, when I've got time and to look at it at home, and I'm doing it at my own pace, that will sink in, and I will know it very well. It just doesn't work for me doing it on the spot and getting told off if you don't get it right. It just doesn't work for me, but for some people it does. And again, the positives, the social side, I guess it's positive for other people because they feel as though they're learning the language by turning up to class and doing the homework. Yes, sure. Even if you do, though, you've still got a long, long way to go. You learn, because the course won't only cover a certain amount of things. You still need to go and improve your comprehension and do things outside of class. Of course, that's whether you like it or not. That's what you're going to do anyway. So that's okay. I'm comfortable doing things outside of class because that's what I do anyway. But during the class, I struggle to keep up. I always find that I'm struggling, and that can really, for me, it's always worked against me and made me less confident in myself. That happened in high school, it happened throughout my school years, and it was always the case where you're sort of you're made to feel as though you are incapable or inept at that particular field of study, which isn't necessarily the case. You could be very good at it, potentially, but the way it's taught and the amount of time you're given, just because you're taught something doesn't mean you're going to know it straight away. It doesn't work that way. Your brain will learn it when your brain is ready. However, as I said, I've noticed that for some people, that sort of drilling and repetition and do things on the spot does what seem to work. So that's a negative sort of thing there, but I'm still getting something out of it. As I said, I knew a couple of words and phrases, not as much German as I knew when I did my German course. I knew a lot of German before I went into university or the night course, so that helped me out. I could really enjoy the classes because I had some background in them, and I could even help other people. Not the case with Korean, but I still know a few words and phrases. I still knew a few words and phrases before entering that class. I'm learning the alphabet though. It's pretty simple, and even though that's taking a bit of time, it's very easy. So that's one good thing. Social side, you meet people. Yeah, so that's why I don't think the class works for me unless I'm not already at a good level where I know what's going on in the language. But I go to a class just to fill the gaps and brush up and meet new people. There can be a lot of good opportunities that way. But I feel for me to start a class from scratch is a bit futile, and I really struggle. I don't enjoy it as much. Yeah, I don't feel as though I can get that much out of the experience. Even though it sounds strange to do a class, we already know the content and you're going in and you're doing it anyway. That sounds a bit weird, but it works for me. Because I will still learn things. I'll always learn new things. I've got lots of gaps in my languages. But going in there with a solid base is definitely works a lot better. Okay, so next thing. Another good thing about it, I mentioned meeting people, and I happened to meet some Indonesians and have some good Indonesian practice there. So kind of as Moses puts it, a level up. So I had a really crazy, really good level up session with the Indonesians there, which is pretty cool. I like those random sort of situations where you meet people that you wouldn't expect. You have to join a Korean class to practice your Indonesian. Strange, but it was very enjoyable, and I got a lot out of that. So that's the sort of thing that I'm getting at. I think classes can work. Yeah, another thing I've noticed is the people who haven't learned foreign languages in the past, who don't, like, there's a guy in there that I know that he says he's never learned any foreign languages. And obviously people who haven't done it before may not know how to do it. Not that they're incapable of doing it, no one's incapable, but they don't know, they may not be as motivated, or they don't know how to do it, they haven't done it before, they need to be guided, and they need to feel as though there's someone, teaching them and helping them and giving them the content. So that's fair enough, as I said, we're not all the same, we're not all crazy language learners like me. Some people, we're all learning languages for different reasons, so that's okay too. Yeah, and also yeah, I think it's mostly those sorts of people. But you have to remember, by doing a class, yes, it's interesting, yes, it's fun, yes, you'll learn a few things, but just because you've completed the class successfully doesn't mean that you're a proficient speaker of that language yet. Um, yeah, it just doesn't work that way. Whether you do well or not in the class doesn't necessarily indicate how well you're going to do in the real world. You can get A's and really good marks, but struggle to understand anything that somebody says to you, that a native speaker says to you. So it's important to remember that. But it's definitely, it can be a good starting point for people. So I think that's what I wanted to say. I think that's all. Yes, feel free to leave any comments and let me know what you think in regards to learning a language in a class type situation. Yes, thanks for watching.